Sony is on the move, and of course, this does put Asia in a very good position for crypto, especially with the SEC coming down on OpenSea. We'll be breaking all of this down for you guys today. Don't miss it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. All right, I do want to thank our sponsor today, and that is Tangem. You discover the power of crypto with the Tangem app. It's one of the best apps out there in conjunction with the Tangem, self-custody card. And the cool thing is they've got a brand new card called the Stealth Card. It's over on their Twitter account. It's the Stealth Wallet. Starts shipping out here in September. And the cool thing is it's completely black. So think of it as your own black card. And the nice thing is it's very secure. It's easy to set up. And when you're doing transactions on the fly, nobody really knows what card you're using. So check it out. All you have to do is go over to tangem.com. You can click on that Get Tangem button right there. Hit the 3-card set no matter what. And the way the Stealth Card is going to work, you're going to have one that will have the logo and then 2 that are going to be completely black so no one will know what you're doing. And use our code, you'll get a discount. So check it out. You guys will love it. All right, let's move on to the stories today because there are some significant moves right now happening. And when you look at the global stage of crypto, you have to look at 2 major markets that I believe are really on a fast pace for innovation. First market has been the EU. There's a bit of a difference with the EU. They've done it through a regulatory model, which is MiCA, and they've put it in place to where companies in the United States or companies in the EU can operate under a regulatory framework with guidance, all the things that normal businesses do. Then you have the Asian markets, and look what is happening right there. In Japan, the Prime Minister now is going to be keynoting the WebX. This will be his economic minister as well. Sony is launching an ETH L2. And if you look at this versus the US federal government, the SEC, and their war on innovation, art, and capital, well, you basically, all you have to do is point at the SEC's most recent Wells notice over to OpenSea. And the reason that is important is because OpenSea, of course, is thousands and thousands of creators, designers, game companies, brands, you name it, all of that now going head to head with what appears to be happening with Sony and the Asian markets. Now, I want to just give you some stats here. In-game NFTs now are the most popular category in NFTs over there on OpenSea, if you think about it. So in 2022, this is in 22, the global market for in-game NFTs was valued at around 3.6 billion and is expected to reach 15 billion by 2027. I think that is a low value, and I think we could see double that, especially as we start to see a lot of movement in some of these markets like the EU and also like Asia, especially leading with what's happening with Sony. Now, speakers of WebX 2024, this is like the rock star, the Avengers of the Asian markets. You've got the Japanese Prime Minister, the Ministry of Economy and Trade, and all of these are really aligned with what's going on in the blockchain sector. If you look further down, this was important. I want to just highlight this one right here. This is the SBI Holdings director and chairman, president, and CEO. Right next to him, Richard Tang. You all know who that is. That's the CEO of Binance. And of course, Yatsu, who is the CEO of Animoca Brands. Now you take that, and oh, by the way, there's HashKey, who has now approved Avalanche as an ETF. So check out what's going on over there. I want to go into a couple of points here with Soneuim. And Soneuim is important because you got to understand what's going on here. Soneuim and Sony partner to bring the blockchain mainstream. Now, there's a few points here that I want to roll up into it. Vision is very central to Soneuim, a new Ethereum rollup being developed by Sony Blockchain Solution Labs in partnership with Watanabe's company, which is Soneuim. The industry lacks real distribution channel. The CEO was talking about this. We're building a blockchain that's accessible for the general public who will use it over the next decade, meaning they're looking at infrastructure really to create kind of this next generation of the internet. I talk about it all the time. And Soneuim, also with Soneuim and Astar Network, this will shift into an optimistic rollup. You guys know what the OP stack is. Optimism, follow that project very closely. It's going to be a big deal as it marks significant changes from its previous reliance on Polygon. So there's a lot moving here and a lot of working parts, but I anticipate we'll see a lot of support for this. So Soneuim will also become part of the Superchain, which is an initiative to unify the OP stack rollups, including Base. So even more integration into where a lot of this technology is going. And if you look at this tweet right here, just to give you an example of why this is a big deal, if you look at Sony right now, world leader in gaming, PlayStation around 116 million monthly active users. And this is probably low right now because we're only talking about gaming. And what they could be going into is a whole plethora of industries, companies, businesses, and sectors that could absolutely explode what's going on within blockchain. Soneuim, this was the Monado testnet, which is now live. So the idea behind this is it's going to be an incubator, which really is just going to be looking at trying to get more builders. Think of this like Y Combinator. Y Combinator is an incubator for startup brands, and it's a way to foster new growth in new sectors. So essentially you can kind of guide it. VCs can jump in on it. You start to get the picture here. That's how Silicon Valley was created, is through these incubators. And I think this is what Sony is trying to do. Further into this, I'm going to go to this article. Sony is, of course, debuting the Soneuim Monado testnet. This is the incubator. And I want to focus in on a couple of points right here. This is a layer 2. It's all Singapore-based Startail Labs. And then if you look at what they're doing, Soneuim Spark will offer developers a package of benefits that includes an investment of 100 grand and other funding opportunities, and also receive official support from the Sony Group. Imagine if Microsoft did that, or if Google did that, if Meta did that. They're the level of Sony, and they went out into the market on an L2, like Ethereum, like Optimism, on Base, and said, we want builders from all over to recreate everything in gaming, finance, retail, restaurants, technology, and we're going to give you 100 grand for every one of you that do that. Can you imagine the innovation that would come out of that for these startups? Because we are going to see a new renaissance, I think, around what most likely could be the next era of the internet. With all that being said, Sony's blockchain also is now partnering with Transak, and this is for global fiat and on-ramp services. So with an on-ramp, it changes the game very quickly. A couple of points they made in the article. Integration of Soneuim and Transak is expected to impact the gaming industry, especially as a broader adoption of blockchain tech in the gaming community comes, which means Sony already sees this. The writing's on the wall. This is a PlayStation play that will happen. And if that means it's happening with PlayStation and Sony, who's next? Well, it has to be Microsoft and Xbox. You have to look at Nintendo. You've got to look at all these other companies that eventually will start to follow suit. Further into this, they focus on driving digital transformation. Transak co-founder and their CEO said that this is really going to change things around how people start to engage from a value standpoint. And this is how onboarding is all done. And of course, remember, here in the United States, what are we doing that? Well, it's called Operation Choke Point 2.0, which essentially is led by the Senate Banking Committee lead, and that is Senator Warren. All, of course, designed to essentially constrain the potential of use and innovation, where what's happening in Asia, it's the exact opposite. Other notes in here, Transak's dedicated solution for multiple industries will empower developers. They're going to build. They're also looking at 350 applications to boast over 5.7 million users just in July. It also partnered up with Uniswap, a U.S. company, to facilitate fiat on-ramp services for the Uniswap wallet. So you look at all that, you got these kind of projects involved: Circle, Optimism, Alchemy, the Graph Chain Link, Astar, all of which we've talked about here on the show before. And I think this is a pivotal time in the development of blockchain technology, that it starts to really kind of go out into the crypto markets. And one of the things that we are not doing here in the United States is keeping up with the Joneses. If you look at what Ryan Adams was talking about, he hits it kind of on the head here. You know, with this most recent Wells notice, OpenSea is now the 6th American-born crypto success story that's under attack by the SEC this year. So now they're attacking which is, I guess, would be considered the FANG of the American crypto market. MetaMask, OpenSea, Coinbase, Kraken, Uniswap, Robinhood, all have been exceedingly targeted by the SEC. Can you imagine any other industry that you go after the best of the best in your industry to essentially control it so that what? The rest of the world can build around us and re-innovate and continue to just outpace us? Because that's exactly what has happened. So that pacing in with a lot of other things because you need a couple of things to make all this work. Remember, we've got to have innovation. You got to have a big players who get behind it. You need a government and a regulatory body to get behind it. Then you need adoption cycles and on-ramps. What else do you need? Well, you need big money. So where is that going to come from? Oasys now partnering with financial giant to boost Web3 gaming in Japan. And guess who that is? SBI. Remember when I talked about the key SBI director and CEO and chair that was at WebX? This is an example of it. So SBI Holdings, one of Japan's largest financial conglomerates, has partnered with Oasys, a blockchain platform designed specifically for Web3 gaming. This is unbelievable. So if you just think about what the potential is here in a big way, I think this starts to set things up in, I think, a scenario where right now Asia could really take a pole position, maybe even over the EU. Here's SBI Holdings right now from 2015 to 2024, almost 27 billion, or excuse me, trillion under assets under management. So very significant. I think this is the key right here, guys. If you are at all thinking that you're a startup, maybe you're just investing in crypto, you're a business owner, then you want to start to do something that has a blockchain integration, and it's pretty much going to affect everybody. Now is the time that you can change the stars. And the way you do that is get out there and vote. That's the only way this works. Put the right kind of senators in place. So make sure going with senators that are pro-crypto. And of course, getting on the right side of the ticket, I think, as we go into the White House. So all of that, I think, is out there. You guys understand that. And of course, if you're not following me out there on X, make sure and do that. It's at Paul Barron. If you're not in our Diamond Circle, make sure and do that. Make sure and smash the like button before you leave. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.